content editors. My name is Vincenzo Gambino. I'm a Drupal developer from London, UK, and I've been working with Drupal for 14 years now. I've been a speaker at several Drupal camps around Europe and the US, and I'm the co-author of the book Jumpstart Development, where I explain how to build application using Gatsby, Sanity, and Netlify. And of course, there is also a chapter regarding Gatsby and Drupal. So it's been almost 1.5 years that we've been meeting OpenAI and ChatGPT. So in November 2022, it was available for everyone. Everyone started testing it, playing with it, see what they can do. And the same thing did the companies. So companies saw potential on this tool. They start investing on it. They start creating tools, products, and many other things. So tools like, generating report based on prompts, so on company information, based on your information. And this raised some questions regarding data usage and privacy that end up with the EU AI Act. So basically, they want to know what companies are doing with the data that you are inputting. So how they are using it, if they're using to retrain their LLM or use it for something else. So we saw all this potential, we used it. So, and we as developers and many other positions, we saw fears and then confirmation. Fears because we thought that was going to do our jobs easily, and then confirmation that it means that the AI is not yet capable of taking our jobs. We need human supervision. So all these applications that the companies were doing, they were just, like I said, doing application and drawing the market. Actually, there is a theory that is basically the draw spaghetti at the wall theory, which means that basically they were just doing application and drawing like in the market. This comes from a cooking technique that as Italian, I didn't want to investigate further more. So basically, when you cook your spaghetti, to see if they are ready or not, you take one, you throw it to the wall. If it sticks, then it's fine, it's ready. If not, then if it doesn't stick, then it's not ready. And this was the technique that we're using. So just building application, if they work. So at the end, how we use it now, we use it for basically our daily job to help us to speed up the process of what we're doing. And this is what we're going to see now. So today we're going to see what is OpenAI, just to go through the terminologies. We're going to have a look at all the Drupal modules that are available at the moment for Drupal. We see how we can use for our own content. Then at the end, we're going to have a demo and then the Q&A. So we have all these models that we can use for OpenAI. So we have the DALL-E model, which is a model that can generate entity images. We have Whispers and TTS, which is a model that can convert audio into text and vice versa. Also, we have the embeddings, which is a set of models that can convert text into a numerical form. So this is something we're going to see later. And then we have moderation, which is a model that can detect if a text may be sensitive or unsafe, for example. And then we have the GPT model, which is the model that can understand and generate natural language. And this is one that we use usually on ChatGPT, for example. ChatGPT is a language model developed by OpenAI, stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformers, and it is designed for generating text, human-like text in a conversational settings. We use it for chatbot or virtual assistants, for example. We use it for generating article, blogs or writing. Then we use it for translation. We use it for interactive gaming experience and dynamic storytelling. And we use it for personalized recommendation based on user preferences. How we can interact with GPT? We can interact through the chat OpenAI or through the API. Before we dive into the API, I want to talk about some of the key concepts. So we have the prompts, which are essentially how you program the model. So how you send some instruction. Then you have the tokens that are unit of text that the language models reads and process. And then we have the model that we saw before. The API prerequisite means that we need a OpenAI account, a OpenAI key, and a payment method. This is some of the API endpoint example for getting information from OpenAI. So to use the models from OpenAI. So we have the completion module, the embedding, the image generation, and the text-to-speech. We do a post request to one of those modules, and then we get the information back. This is an example call. So we have the header with the authorization with the OpenAI key. Then we have the model, the prompt, which is here, and then the token, and then the temperature. The temperature sets the prediction, the predictability, how predictive will be the response. So if you set, for example, a temperature of 0, and you ask the sky is to OpenAI, it will return with the temperature of 0, the sky is blue. If you put the temperature higher, the more unpredictable will be the answer. So you can come back saying that the sky is this remote controller, for example. This with a high temperature, for example, 2. This is the response. So we have the model, the date, the choices where we have the answer. So we have the text, and then we have the usage. So we have the tokens that we send in the prompts, the token for completion, so for the answer, and then the total token used. Now, let's see what modules are available for Drupal at the moment. So we have the OpenAI ChatGPT integration, which is a suite of modules that basically can connect to OpenAI and use some of their models. So what we're going to see today is the OpenAI CK Editor integration, the content editing tools, the ChatGPT Explorer, and then the OpenAI DALL-E module as well. How we install it? We install it as usual using Composer, and then we run Rush to install it. We then go to OpenAI to create a new secret key. So in this case, already created. But if you click on Create a new secret key, you will see these windows here. So you give a name, and then you click on Create Secret Key. You copy the key, and then you go into. You also need the organization ID. This is always from the OpenAI account. Then under Drupal, in the OpenAI settings, you need to add your OpenAI key and then the organization ID. And now you're ready to go. You can start installing all the other modules, which will connect then to all the models in OpenAI. So we start with the CK Editor submodule. So we run Rush to install it. And basically, this will basically add a button available for the CK editor. So we go into the basic HTML text format, for example, in the settings, and we add this button under the available buttons. Then on the same page, we configure the default module, the temperature, and the max token to be used between the prompt and the answer. And this is what it's going to look like. So the functionality will give us the option to do text completion, adjust the tone and voice, to summarize the text we wrote, and to translate it, and also to reformat and connect the correct HTML if we have done something with the HTML in the body. So we click on text completion, and we open with the windows with the prompt. So we add, for example, in this case, tell me the history of Drupal, and then the system starts writing on the body directly of the node. Then we can change the tone. For example, I can ask them to change it as to tell me as I'm 5 years old. Then, of course, you can summarize it. This will not show any prompt. It will just summarize text you have selected in the body. You can also translate it. And this translation is not related to any language that you have installed into Drupal, into your Drupal settings. So, into Drupal translation. So it's not a language that you installed, is any language that you want. Then we can test the OpenAI Content Tools submodules. So we install it. And this provides on the right-hand side of the node edit node, and in the add node form, the changing tone functionality, the summarize, and also the subject taxonomy, which we'll see later in the demo. So these are the options that are giving us: summarize text, changing tone, summarize, subject taxonomy, content title. This is how the subject taxonomy works. So we choose the body field that we want, and we click on subject taxonomy. At the moment, this is a basic functionality. It's just reading the body of the node and giving some of the keyword. If we want to receive the taxonomy based on our vocabularies, for example, in the prompts, we can send also the array with all our terms, and we can ask him to find the most appropriate keyword matching our terms. So those are at the moment just the basic functionality. This is how we can extend the OpenAI module. So it's using the OpenAI PHP client package. And basically we need to use the class OpenAI. We create the client, and then we use the completion method to, for example, to do what we've seen before. So we can pass the module and the prompt. So this is the basic functionality of the OpenAI PHP client. And then in our Drupal module, we can use the same thing, but in this case, we pass again the module, the prompt, the temperature, and the max token that we have set on our settings on the Drupal side. And then the response will be under choice, the first item, and then text. Another module that I want to talk about is ChatGPT Content Assistant module. With this module is a lightweight version of the other module. You can create content, you can translate content, and also create images. So you install it as usual. You require it from Composer, and you install with Rush. And then in the settings, we need to set the modules, the model, the endpoint, the endpoint for creating images, the OpenAI access token, OpenAI key, the max token, the temperature, and then the content types where we want to enable this functionality. So in this case, instead of having in the WYSIWYG, in the CK editor here, we have it as a link here. Once you click the button, you'll see a pop-up with the ChatGPT content generator. You can ask him any question, and then it will start generating the content, which will stay in the pop-up. Then if you're happy with the content, you can click use this content, and it will be pasted directly into the body of your node. For translation, this is related to the language that have been installed into Drupal. So you have, for example, installed Dutch, and then you can go and in the translation tab, and you can click on translate using ChatGPT, and it will translate all the text field that you have in that node. How you can extend the ChatGPT Content Assistant. So you can, ChatGPT Content Assistant uses its own class and is doing its own call. It's not using any package. So you need to use the GPT API and then the get GPT response text. This will do the same thing that we are doing on the other module using the PHP client, the OpenAI PHP client. So now that we see that we can integrate OpenAI into our system, we can create many other type of functionality for the content editors. So they can print content, they can map taxonomy to the content that they wrote, they can choose keywords, they can generate the titles, they can do many things. But not also for this, or many other things. They can create an image, they can create images, for example, that we're going to see in the demo. So now that I have created content, what we can do, we can basically index those content. We can improve the search experience. We can train GPT with our own data. So, for example, we have an FAQ. We can teach GPT with our FAQ, so it knows our services, and we will use embeddings and RAG that we'll go through now. So RAG is a retrieval augmented generation. So it combines the strengths of pretty many languages with the retrieval system, and it's done into part. One is the retrievers, which is the queries to the vector database, and then the generator that produce more informal and contextually relevant response, basically in a human language. In this case, it would be GPT. How we do the embeddings? The embeddings is a vector, floating points, so basically just like a coordinate of what the semantic meaning of a word or a sentence is. So, for example, we can use it in search, we can use it for recommendation and for classification. So the embeddings can be represented in this way. Sorry. So this is an example. For example, we have the word cat, which gets the coordinate of 2 and 3. Then we have another word dog, which gets the coordinate of 2 and 4. And then we have the point C, which have the coordinate 7 and 1. So when when OpenAI is doing a semantic search, is checking the distance between the coordinates between the two words. So in this case, cat and dog, they are similar because they are both animals, for example, while car is more distant from the two because it's not an animal, for example. Where we can store those coordinates, we can store it, in this case, in my example, will be done in Pinecone, which is a managed database vector. And you can use the API to do the queries to Pinecone. So how we can integrate it? So we need 2 modules, actually 3. So the first one is Search API, of course. Then we have Search API AI and Search API AI Search API attachment. So the first one, Search API AI, will add the functionality for searching in your within your content on the vector database, and Search API attachment will let you add attachment to the Search API. So first, we select the Search API attachment settings. So we select, in this case, the PDF to text extractor because we're going to upload some PDF. The system is going to read the PDF and send it to the vector database for storing it. And after that, in the embedding setting in the Search OpenAI AI, we set up the model to use and which vector plugin we're going to use. And then in the Search API index, we are going to add the field attachment, which is the first one here under general. So this adds the Search API attachment. We have the type of embedding. I've also added the attachment here and here in the body, and here the body here as embeddings. Then we add the block of Search API AI, so we can see a pop-up where we can chat with OpenAI and make questions to our documents. And this is an example. So I've uploaded a document regarding AI and in healthcare. So I'm asking GPT form to tell me about the AI and healthcare. And it return the content, the node that is that talks about AI and healthcare, and also the white paper that has been added into it here. So ready for the demo? Not yet. I want to talk about the tokens. So tokens, as I said, is a piece of text that has been parsed out through the processing. So the machine doesn't understand human language. They understand numbers. So what we do, everything that we pass to the LLM is going to be translated into numbers. So first we get the words and we translate it into numbers. And then for the meaning, for the semantic meaning of the word of the sentence, we translate it into numbers, in this case, coordinate. For an example of token, so we have this is an example. So we have these points, and we have the token. So token usually is about for character, and in this case, we can see it. So we have This sends with 292 characters, and there are 76 tokens. And then they're going to be translated into tokens ID here. So this is what's going to be sent to the OpenAI, so to the LLM, to make it understand what we are saying. And now there is a restriction on tokens, so you can send up to 4,000 tokens. So when you have a document which is, for example, 400 pages long, you can use a technique where you can basically chunk this piece of content and send it to the embeddings and then send it to the vector database. So in this way, so you have the original text, then you have the text splitter that does into chunks, and then it sends it to the embeddings model that will return coordinates for the meaning of that specific sentence or word. And then this is the bigger picture. So you have, for example, a PDF or a piece of content. It will be separated into chunks. Each chunks will be sent to OpenAI for embeddings. It will return the coordinates. The coordinates then will be stored in a vector database, which are ready to be used. Then from a Drupal application, someone adds a prompt. Then the question will be embedded for getting the semantic meaning. Then it will do the query for the vector database. The vector database returns the results, and then the LLM will generate a more human response, and they will send it back to Drupal. Okay, now we have the demo time. Here we have my application. So let's go back first here. So for example here, and we can again ask and now is performing the search into the vector database. Taking a bit, second. Okay, so now it has returned the response, mainly based on the PDF that I uploaded, because my content is just this part here, nothing more. And most of the content is on the PDF. So it's returning PDF information based on the PDF. So that means that we can upload many white papers, many PDF, and let them index, and then the end user can go into our application and start questioning those PDFs before even reading it. That's really useful when we are doing some research and you want to go through a 200 pages PDF to see if it's relevant to you, but you can chunk it, you can store it in a vector database, and then it's ready to be used for the end user for questioning and for information. So it has a good case on the legal field, on the healthcare as well. And if you're not using PDF, well, just the FAQ is good for the customer service, where you put all your company information and how to solve problem into the vector database, and then the user can use it through the AI. So let's see how we can configure it. So we go to configuration, and we have the OpenAI as a module here, right? So here we have the settings, the available module that we can use. Then we have here the Search API attachment that I showed before. So here I've selected the PDF extractor. I have here the binary to the PDF extractor in my server. And then in the embedding settings, this is still from OpenAI, I have selected the content and the model to use and which vector plugin I'm going to use. You can choose between Midus and Pinecone. I choose Pinecone for this information, for this demo. And then here you can add your Pinecone information like API key. Once this is set up, you can create your search server. So it will be with Pinecone. when the backend is automatically taken from the embeddings. And then in my search index, I have added content and files. And then I've set the server pinecone. In my fields, I've selected the SSA field attachment. Those fields appears automatically for each file field that you have in your application. Then as a processor, I have the file attachment processor, and I'm excluding these files. This for search. Then for the CK editor, we go to the text format, CK editor 5 here, basic HTML, and the configuration. I have it here in the active toolbar, the OpenAI. And here in the OpenAI tools is enabled. I choose the default module, the temperature, and the max token that can be used. And then here I'm ready to be used in a content, so I can start creating some content. And here I can choose the text completion. For example, and when I press enter, it starts typing for me. And here I can see that it's receiving the response. And it's done. Now, for example, I can select it and I can, for example, translate it. Example. Now it's been translated into Italian automatically, the same text that was there. Then from the GPT edit content tool, we have here. So let's do it back in English. Let's translate it back. Okay. Now we can use one of these. For example, we can analyze the text to see if there is any privacy violation. We don't need to select because we choose the body field. We can analyze it. And this does not violate any content policy. We can, for example, adjust the tone, and this does not append it directly into the body. It will show it here. So let's try it. For example, and it's showing it here. We can also summarize it. So like this, so we can copy and paste it in our summary. We can suggest content title, for example, History Chicago in this case, and also we can suggest taxonomy. So History Chicago. Yep. Then the other module that I show is this one. So we can click here, generate using ChatGPT, and again, now it will not write it here, but directly in the pop-up. This takes a bit because it's not writing directly here. There is a timeout error. See, this is the risk of the live demo. Let's try it again. Okay, I think it's gonna attempt. There is some issue on their side, I guess. But anyway, let's do something more funny. So let me see a second. We go to configuration, and we can do the DALL-E image generation. So we use DALL-E 3. We can set this size here. We get the URL response. And we can do something. Let's see. So we are in Chicago, so we can do Terminator, for example, playing for Chicago Bulls. Let's see what's happening now. Submit. Okay. Let's see. You ready? Okay. So this is the image that has been generated by GPT now with the prompt that we said. Okay. Prompt-wise, we can test, of course, as we want to do in our application. From here, for example, we have the ChatGPT Explorer. So this, in this way, you can test ChatGPT. You can ask any question, you get a response. The response is based on this prompt here. So this is the profile we are setting. This is the first information that they were going to give. So we're saying that we are a Drupal in a Drupal website. So everything that we will ask will be returned related to Drupal. So in this case, so for example, if I ask how to build a controller, and we submit, I will get the response based on this. So to build a controller in Drupal, you typically create a module, blah, blah. So here there are all the information for Drupal. But for example, let me refresh to clear the cache. So for example, if I say, instead of saying that I'm a Drupal website, I am a Laravel developer, for example. And now I ask how to build controller. We submit. Now it's giving the response based on this profile, on the Laravel developer profile. So how we can use this one? Again, we can use it for example, for customer service, where we can provide many information to the prompt before the users ask any question. So this can be set as a profile for any things that you are building. Okay. Now, go back to the slide. So in this session, we saw what's the status of the modules in the OpenAI modules in Drupal. We saw how we can connect the API and extend the current functionality. And also we saw how we can train the LLM with our own data using RAG. So now that we know how to do both things, we can just start developing, and we can talk to our editors, see what they need. We can do custom application for our clients. We can extend our current website. We can do many things we want. What I'm just telling you is that you can also draw your spaghetti into the wall, and that's it. So thank you. Thanks.
And if anyone has any questions, you can come up to the laptop up here and ask.
you had any problems with rate limits with organizations, hitting limits?
Pardon? Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Have you had any problems with rate limits, like organizations hitting rate limits on search, things like that?
Organization.
I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, now, yes. Okay.
Okay. Have you had any problems with organizations hitting GPT rate limits?
Rate limits in which case, in terms of expenses or on the token limit?
Or aren't there API calls? Or I'm not sure if tokens or API calls are different, but have you had with sort of like you reach the top of your plan as far as either calls or tokens in a
So basically for that, you can just give me a second. I think I have it in here. So this is the usage, right? So one of the limits that you can set is this. So right, so you can, when you reach the limit, you can send a notification. So this in terms of API calls. Tokens are just the number of just like words that you can send in one single request. So when you do an API request, you have a limit on the number of words, in this case tokens, you can send. But to avoid that one, you can chunk the request in many. You can chunk the text in many more requests. But as far as I know, there is no limit apart from this one that you set on your own, and that's it. So there are not limits you can do in terms of numbers.
But there is a per call cost, right?
Yes, yes. So for example, today, if you see during this demo, I use the image module. I don't know if you can see my screen, but I use the image model. I use the embedding models, the one call with GPT Turbo and a couple of calls with GPT-4. So everything that I've done on the node side was GPT-4, and it was 15 cents. And all the others were less than 1 cent. And image model to generate this image was 8 cents.
Okay, so it's a lot more expensive to generate than to call.
Yes, but the more call you generate, yes, the more expensive it becomes. Yeah, so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, if there are no other questions, thank you very much, Vincenzo. That was great.
Yeah, thanks.
And thank you very much for
coming
out virtually.
Yeah, thanks. So here are the resources, and then there is contribution day on Friday.